Hi, my name is Matthew Hagy. I've been teaching archery for over the past 15 years. It's pretty basic. The long part of the arrow is called the shaft. The tip of the arrow is called the tip. These are the feathers or the fletchings. And this is called the knock, where you knock the arrow. If you notice on the arrow, the fletchings have two regular colors and then one odd color fletching. The odd color fletching is there for a reason, because it shows you where you should line your arrow up on the string and on the bow, which I'll go over later, but they all should have an odd color fletching. This is a fiberglass arrow, so if it breaks, make sure you give it to me and I'll throw it in the garbage. That's for safety. You don't want fiberglass getting caught into your fingers. This is our bow. It is a righty bow, and it's 26 pounds. You have the knocking point where you knock the arrow to make sure the arrow is 90 degrees. This is the handle right here where you hold the bow. This is the limb of the bow, and this is a recurve bow. You can see it's been recurved. And this is the string. And this is the arrow rest, where the arrow rests upon the bow. Here is another type of arrow I'll show you. This one is made out of wood, and the fletchings are fiberglass. I'm going to knock the arrow. Right here, the arrow is knocked at 90 degrees. That way, when you release the arrow is going to fly straight. If you were to not knock it at 90 degrees, say you were to knock it up here, and you were to draw the arrow back, when you release it, the arrow is going to go off the string, slide down, maybe slice your hand, then when it flies, it's going to wobble in the air. But if you knock it properly, when you draw it back and you release it, it will fly straight off of the arrow, off of the bow, and it'll fly straight instead of wobbling. The function of the feathers or the fletchings are to keep the arrow stabilized in the air so it doesn't fly crazy. It keeps it flying straight. So I knock it at 90 degrees, and I rest it on the arrow rest. My hand goes inside the handle. I like to go one finger above the knocking point and two fingers below. When you draw the arrow back, your body is perpendicular to the target. Your right elbow is up in the sky. By drawing the right elbow up to the sky, you're stronger that way. Some people won't be strong enough to pull us back. When you pull your elbow down low, what happens is the bow wants to go up straight. So the odd color fletching right now is facing up. So when the arrow flies off of the string, the two white fletchings do not change the trajectory of the arrow. There's only two ways to do it, a right way and a wrong way. So if you knock your arrow the wrong way, when it flies off, that odd color fletching can hit and change the trajectory of your arrow. So if you're a righty and you're holding your bow, the odd color fletching should be facing your face instead of facing away from you. It should be facing towards you. So if I were to be shooting the arrow this way, I would stand with my body perpendicular to the target. Here's my body, here's a target. I keep my left arm straight, and I draw my right elbow back to the sky. That way I can control aim with just my left hand. I can aim this way, this way, this way, and this way. If my elbow is down, people have the tendency to want to shoot the arrow straight in the sky, and plus you're weaker. You are stronger when you bring your arrow back to your elbow back to the sky. I like to put one finger above my arrow, two fingers below. If you squeeze it too tight, when you draw the arrow back, you will be twisting the arrow like this. So find the right amount of tension so you're not twisting the string. So you draw the bow back, bring your fingers back to your smile. Now your fingers are back at your smile, your body's perpendicular to the target. You can aim with your left hand. Then when you release your fingers. Common mistake people make is they pull it back, and they've got all this power loaded into the bow, and then they release, they go like this. They go forward and they let their fingers go. Well, by going forward, you're taking the power out of the bow. Right here, and just release your fingers. Keep your elbow up. Release those fingers. Some things that could happen when you release your arrow is, I'll take the arrow off right now. When you draw your string back, people's arm are sometimes in the way of the string. So if you look right now, my elbow is in the way of the string. If I take my shoulder joint and just pivot it out slightly, now my arm is not in the way of the string. That's called getting bit by the bow. So if I were to fire and release the string, it's going to come and hit my arm right here, and it's going to bite my arm, and it hurts really, really bad. You will learn why it's called getting bit by the bow. We do have arm guards where you can stick them where you think you'd get bit. So when it does hit you, it hits this leather arm guard. Sometimes the arrow or the string is very painful on some people's fingers. Your fingers might get raw. So there are also finger guards where you take the finger guard, you put it over your middle finger, and then you fold it back. That way now the string is resting on the finger tab, on the finger guards, and not your fingers. If you don't want to wear an arm guard, it's okay to wear a long sleeve shirt, but be aware your long sleeve shirt might get in the way of the string. And once the string hits your shirt, it can change the trajectory of the arrow and take away the force or the power out of the bowstring. When we go out there will be cones. And the cones are to stick your arrows in. It's also for safety to show you where you should and shouldn't stand. When we go out to the field, you will see the area set up like this. There will be cones like this, so you can stick your arrows in. There will be smaller cones at the back. And then the targets will be set up away from the cones that you're shooting from. These targets are intentionally set up that this one is closer to this cone and this one is the furthest away. So these are your less advanced shooters and these are your more advanced shooters. On day one, this might be 10, 15 yards away. This might be 15, 20 yards away. But your more advanced shooters will be over here. I will either be standing here so I can see everybody in the class. If I stand right here, I can see the entire class. Or I can stand over here and I can see everybody in the class. If I go to individuals right here and I'm teaching this person, my back is to these people. Or if I'm standing over here teaching this person, my back is towards the class. I never want to have my back towards the class. That's just a safety thing. You always want to make sure you see what's going on. The people who are waiting to shoot will be in the safety zone. They'll be behind these cones. This is called the danger zone because if you're in this zone and somebody over here has a bow and arrow in their hand, they could get shot. So you will never pick up a bow and the arrow until I give the command. So when you walk out there, you will grab 3 to 5 arrows, 3 to 10 arrows, depending on where we're at in the unit. I will say clear on the left, clear on the right. You may fire when ready. At that point, you can pick up your bow, you can pick up your arrow, and you may fire at the target that's in front of you when ready. When everybody's had a chance to go, I will say clear on the left, clear on the right, bows down, arrows down. Then I will pause, to make sure everybody puts their bows and arrows down. Then I will say retrieve, retrieve. And that means you go down. There's a little hill right here where we shoot. You go down the hill and you go get your arrows. Now, if everybody decides to run because they're so excited to shoot again, woo, to go get their arrows, this target's going to be full with arrows. If you go towards a target, forward, okay, these are not at a good level for any gender. Okay, so you don't want to walk right into these arrows. It could poke you in the face, poke you in the belly. You don't want to get poked by these arrows. So when you approach the target, go to the side, and then you approach the target. When you pull your arrows out, take the arrows from the outside and then work your way in. Make sure nobody is standing behind the target, and make sure you're not standing behind the target. If I am standing here, not paying attention, and somebody decides to pull an arrow out, it's going to hit me in the face. Watch the action when I pull the arrow out. I put my hand against the target. If the arrow goes in on an angle, I pull it out on an angle. If somebody's behind me, I could hit them in the face. That's not safe. Then I drop that arrow. Then I work my way in, and I drop the arrow, and I drop the arrow. Sometimes arrows go in on a weird angle. If this arrow goes in on a weird angle, don't pull it straight back. Pull it out on the angle it went in on. This one's going up. I pull it up, it comes out nice and easy. Once you've collected all of your arrows, hold them like this with the tip pointing down. That way you're not going to poke anybody in the face. Walk back to the shooting zone. Hold on to your arrows until it's your turn. When you get back in the shooting zone, do not pick up a bow. Do not pick, well, you already have your arrows, but do not pick up a bow because people still might be out there hunting for arrows. They might be under the grass. So do not pick up any bows. I do not want anybody holding a bow and arrow when people are in the danger zone. Do you understand that? Do not hold a bow and arrow when people are in the danger zone. Then when you're ready to shoot round 2, I will make sure that there's one person at each cone. I will say clear on the left, clear on the right. You may fire when ready. There may be times when there might be 2 people at a shooting cone and only one person shooting. If I'm standing here, the more advanced people in class are allowed to go in the shooting zone to help teach other people who are trying to shoot. Some people might not be pulling their elbow up high enough. People might have a hard time knocking the arrow. People might be holding the bow upside down. People might not be holding the handle in the right spot. Some people might not be strong enough. Some people might be a little bit afraid. Some people might need a little help with their aim. So the more advanced shooters are allowed to go and teach at each station. The people in the back should be just making sure that they're paying attention to what's going on in the shooting area. When you are done shooting, take your bow and bring it and give it back to somebody in the safety zone. That way they know it's their turn. Do not take your bow and just leave it on the ground, because I'll have 4 bows sitting on the ground and 8 people sitting back here wondering who's done. So give your bow to somebody else when you're done. They will walk, knock their arrows, and then shoot when they are ready. Another little mistake some people might make is, if I am shooting from this cone, and I'm standing a foot in front of this cone, and the person who is 3 or 4 yards away from me is standing a foot behind their cone, this person is going to be here. Where the other person is a foot in front, they're going to be here. Be aware of your surroundings. Make sure the people at their cones are properly lined up. If you're at this cone, do not shoot all the way across here. Shoot straight ahead of you. That's for safety reasons. Sometimes there might be custodians working on the fields, mowing the lawn. Sometimes a class might be walking across to go to the woodlot to do a project. Be aware of your surroundings. Listen to my commands. If I say bows down, arrows down, we need to stop. I will stand here because some people will try to shoot their arrow and see how far it goes. That will not happen. It will not happen because I will always be here, and it is very, very dangerous, and you can, penetrate somebody with this arrow. These are high density foam targets. The arrows stick into them. If it can stick into this target, the arrows can stick into a human being. So safety is our #1 concern. The injuries I've had in relation to archery are people have gotten bit by the bow. The fletchings have sometimes sliced somebody's hand or finger, maybe a minor bleeding, nothing too bad. Bruising from getting bit by the bow. And those are the only injuries I can recall in relation to archery. Nobody has been hit by an arrow. Nobody's even been come close to being hit by an arrow. That will not happen. That's not an option. It will never happen. Some games you can play in archery is shooting for points. Everybody would get 5 arrows. This is an individual game. You shoot your 5 arrows. You keep your own score. If you hit any part of the white, you get 5 points. Any part of the black, you get 10 points. Any part of the blue, you get 15 points. Any part of the red, you get 20 points. Any part of the yellow, you get 25 points. If it's on the line, touching either two, you get the higher of the 2 points. At the end of the class, I will write the people, the male and female, who had the highest points for that period. Then at the end of the day, you can see, and the next day, you can see which student was the best archer of the day. Other fun games you can play. Sometimes I'll take a piece of blue painter's tape and draw a dot in the middle. And I'll tell the student, if you hit any part of that dot, like right here it's touching part of that dot, you get a free gym pass. That means you don't have to participate that day in phys ed, or you get to take 1 day off from phys ed throughout the marking period. I will also put little pieces of blue tape on the target, and I will call those walking passes. These walking passes will be initialed by me, MDH. So if you hit it, when it's time to retrieve, you will take that walking pass and stick it to your shirt. When you go back into the locker room, you take that walking pass that is still sticky, stick it on your locker, then you never lose it. Then I'm not responsible for remembering who has a walking pass and who doesn't. You're responsible for not losing your walking pass. And if you lose it, then you lose it. If you lose it, it's lost. You lose your walking pass. Walking pass is good for fitness days. The days we run, you can just walk when everybody else is running. Or if there's a day we're outside, you feel like walking, you're allowed to use it for that as well. Another game we play is called Maid Marian. Each team gets each person gets 4 arrows. There are 5 people on a team. That's a total of 20 arrows. The first part of the target you have to hit is the white part. Once you hit the white part, then you have to go for the black part. If it's on the line, you count whichever 2 you want to count it for. Say you hit the yellow. You still have to get the blue, the red, and the yellow. You have to go in that specific order. So imagine your first 3 arrows hit the yellow. That counts for nothing. You have to go in the specific order. You have to go white, then black, then blue, then red, then yellow. You've now entered the castle. You now have Maid Marian. Once you've entered the castle, you need to exit the castle and then hit, you only have to hit the yellow once, then you hit the red, then the blue, then the black, then the white. The team that has done that, not in the most time, but with the most arrows left over, wins. So mathematically speaking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can do it in 9 arrows and still have 11 arrows left over. So let's rescue the maid. You have to go in that specific order. So if your first arrow hits the yellow, it counts for nothing. If your second arrow hits the blue, it counts for nothing. Once your first arrow hits the white, then you get to go for the black. So let's just say your first person shoots, he gets the white, then he gets the black. Then his other 4 arrows, he misses the target or hits the yellow, they count for nothing. The next person who's up has to go for the blue. So you have to communicate amongst your team. What color are we on? What color are we aiming for? There's a lot of communication going on there. Make sure your team knows what page you're on. The winner of this game gets nothing. A big congratulations. Maybe a double high five, a dog pound, something really exciting like that. Some other fun games you can do is you can take little water balloons, blow them up, tie them, stick them in the target, tape them to the target. People love trying to hit those balloons. The boardwalk, you pay $5 to get 3 darts to try to pop a balloon. So you get to do it here in camp or in phys ed class for free. You can also take pictures and put different pictures on the target, maybe an apple. I recommend not putting pictures of people's faces on here. It doesn't send the right message in terms of archery. But maybe fun pictures, things that might bother you, an apple, maybe a piece of candy. People just have fun trying to aim for certain things on the target. That's just a fun free play type of game. If we are shooting in that direction, and I am in the shooting zone, and that direction is the safety zone, please do not knock your arrow and in confusion draw your bow back and turn around and ask me a question. Because now you have a loaded arrow and you're pointing at the rest of the class in the safety zone. Always point your arrow into the danger zone, or if you have a question, unknock your arrow and then hold it like this and then ask me a question. But please do not draw your arrow back and decide to ask me a question, because that is not safe. Be aware of that, and do not go like that and ask somebody a question as well. An easy way to see if you're getting your arrow with the proper fletching knocked up is you can just stand like this. The string is going to tickle the underside of your left arm. Bring it over top. Now the purple fletching is facing up. The purple fletching on this is the odd color fletching. Then knock it. And now you see that the purple fletching is facing up. And now you know that your arrow is properly knocked. Or if you don't need to do all that, you can just put it over top, and that's a good way of understanding how to put it on. Please do not take the bow, draw it back, and then release the bow without anything on it. That's called dry firing the bow. It's not good for the bow, it's not good for the string, so please do not dry fire the bow. What I'd like to do in the lesson now is have everybody line up. Take the bow. We're going to stand with our bodies perpendicular to the target. We're going to draw back a bow with no arrows on it, not release it, and then just slowly bring it forward. I want to make sure that your stance is perpendicular to the target. Your feet are perpendicular to the target. I want to make sure that you're gripping the string with one finger above, 2 fingers below. I want you to get familiar with the bow before we actually load it and put the arrows on it. In order to get a 10 out of 10 on this unit, it is very simple. I want to see that you're holding the bow in the handle. You have to actively participate. Your arrow has to be knocked at 90 degrees. The odd color fletching has to be facing up. Your body needs to be perpendicular to the target. Bring your right elbow back up high. I want to see that you know how to aim. And don't have your elbow down low. Bring your elbow up high. Make sure that you know how to aim. And when you release at your smile and your left arm is straight. If that left arm is bent, sometimes when you release, you bring the bow back into your face. Or sometimes when people release, they go like that. So your left arm is straight. And if you actively participate, and you show up, your attendance is good, you will easily be a 10 out of 10 in this unit. It's not a difficult unit to get a 10 out of 10 on. My name is Matthew Hagy. Those are some basic safety things in relation to archery, basic procedures, form, and technique when it comes to shooting archery in camp or in phys ed class. It's important to establish procedures and safety when doing archery. Safety is the most important part of this activity. It is probably the safest activity we do in phys ed class. It is one of the safest activities that I've ever taught. Minor injuries, maybe a bruise on the arm, maybe a little blood on the fingers, but it is a very, very safe activity when done properly, when you have established your procedures, your commands, your boundaries, and they've been properly communicated from the teacher to the student. It's also important for the teacher to always have all of the students in their eyesight. And I'll string it for you really quick to show you how to string it. Take the string, put it on the outside of your foot, step over top the bow. So now pressure is being put on this foot and pressure is on the back of the leg. Make sure that it's on the notches on the arrow on the bow. Bring it over and just inspect it to make sure it's done properly. Okay, that's on good. That's on good. My string looks like it's on properly. My name is Matthew Hagy. Thanks for watching my video. Please follow me on Twitter, Matthew Hagy, capital M, capital H, and the number 1. Follow me on YouTube. Just type in Matthew Hagy on YouTube. I've got a variety of videos on there related to health, fitness, running tips, weight training, lifting, workout videos. And now I guess I'll be posting phys ed lessons on there as well. Thank you.